Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here as always, guys. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today for another haul video. Today we're going to be diving into everything that I picked up during the Vinegar Syndrome subscriber week. That sale ran the first week of January this year, and during that week they did all kinds of crazy stuff. They announced a bunch of new releases. They did some limited edition slipcovers, but my favorite thing that they did, which they've never done before, at least I don't think they've ever done it before, is a $10 sale. Every day on a rotating basis, every day these would be a different 10 titles that went for sale for $10 each, and these included limited edition slipcover titles. So I went ahead and took advantage of that, and I got several of those. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into everything that I got here and here, show you guys the insides, the outsides, the slipcovers, and talk a little bit about each one. And we're just gonna rip the band-aid off for the first two selections here. I was a bad boy, and I got some of the Pico-Rama stuff. I got only two titles, and these are for research purposes only. Okay, don't forget that. First one I picked up, Stiff Competition. This movie leads up to the 4th annual World Championship Suck-Off. You heard that right, folks. Athletes are gearing up for the annual Suck-Off Championship, a competition dedicated to crowning the woman with the best oral technique. Top coach Jeff loses his star contender, The Mouth, after she quits mid-round during an exhibition match. Desperate for a new would-to-be star athlete to compete for the world title, he finds the perfect candidate in the form of a shy and inexperienced Tammy. Realizing her tremendous potential, Jeff convinces her to begin a rigorous training process. But when reigning champion Cynthia Silkthroat and her sleazy manager Jake the Snake get wind of Tammy's incredible abilities, they begin a sinister campaign to ensure she doesn't win the coveted title. This film is from 1985, and I gotta be honest with you, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a little bit of it. I just have a morbid curiosity at these remastered adult films from the 70s and 80s it's just an oddity to me that something like that would get a limited edition slipcover 4K restoration. It was shot on, I believe, 35mm film, and you know, what can I say? It was a beautifully shot movie. It looks really good. It's shot like every other normal comedy of its time. The film grain is there, but the clarity from the 35mm print just looks beautiful. All the colors are really true, and it's just fascinating to me that they remaster those movies. So either way, that's enough about Stiff Competition. This one is called Beyond Shame, and this is the last one of these adult titles we're going to talk about. Beyond Shame, a fantasy, a reality, a place beyond shame. International sex symbol Sika has lost her sex drive, so much so that even the mere touch of a man horrifies her. Frustrated and confused, Sika turns to a psychiatrist who puts her into a hypnotic state to help rediscover her sensuality. Soon, Sika finds herself in a world of unlimited ecstasy, observing and participating in encounters with men and women, and each more exciting than the last. And I don't know what to say. These are just a couple of cheap titles that I bought. I don't own many of those films. If I have Summer Camp Girls is the other one that I got. What can I say? Now we're on to the real cinema, okay? Now we're gonna move on to the good stuff. Barry isn't your normal high school student. He's obsessed with action movies, specifically ones starring the great Chuck Norris. In order to escape the difficulties of his everyday life, such as the loss of his mother and bullies he has to face at school, Barry finds himself daydreaming of being Chuck Norris's sidekick and beating up the bad guys in order to save the day. And with the help of his favorite teacher, her uncle, Barry begins training in martial arts in order to gain confidence to ground himself in reality. However, reality hits hard when Barry enters a martial arts tournament and is forced to face the bullies that have been tormenting him. With a little help from a hero of his, Barry must overcome his fears if he wants to win the tournament, as well as the heart of his longtime crush. So this is a 90s classic with Chuck Norris, Jonathan Brandis. It's another Karate Kid ripoff, but either way, I love this movie. Sidekicks, this was the big VSU announcement. There's a couple of VSUs they've released already. They're absolutely the top tier Cadillac of Vinegar Syndrome releases. They come in these beautiful hard boxes, these magnet shut lids that open up. You get a booklet, you get a 4K restoration. You also get a slip cover in here, so it's not just the packaging to speak of, but these are 4K releases. This is now the 5th title in the VSU line. The original launch of this line was Beastmaster, then they did Six String Samurai, then Cloak and Dagger, and most recently before this was Roadhouse, and they are amazing. If you can get them, check them out because they're absolutely stunning releases. Dr. Edward Pretorius, an acclaimed physicist, has perfected his newest invention, the resonator, a machine which allows those near to it to glimpse life not visible to the naked eye. Imagining the discoveries he could make, Pretorius begins to go mad, much to the concern of his young assistant, Crawford Tillinghast. However, after the machine malfunctions during a highly sensitive experiment and fingered. Crawford, now confined to an asylum, becomes the ward of Dr. Catherine McMichaels, who takes a special interest in his tales of the strange creatures able to be seen while the machine is operating and convinces him to help her rebuild the device, woefully unaware of the terrifying hidden world she is about to enter. From Beyond is a super cool 80s gore fest by a great director. It's directed by Stuart Gordon, who also did Reanimator. It stars Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton. It's a classic, and it got the full-on Vinegar Syndrome slipcover treatment, newly commissioned artwork, a beautiful restoration, and this has reversible artwork, as do almost every single one of these releases, which is another nice touch, but really glad to have this get a proper release. And next up, we have a movie that is still a mystery to me. I have no idea what this movie is all about. This was another one from the $10 sale, as was the first two movies in this list, the naughty ones, so they must have had some extra copies of this one lying around, and that's Surf 2. I really don't know much about this movie. The back of the Blu-ray reads, "Surfing is the only thing to do for high school students Chuck and Bob who are in preparation for the big surf competition. However, their fathers, sales rep for a new soda named Buzz Cola, disapprove of surfing as a whole. Everything is going swell until the area's surfing population start getting kidnapped by Menlo, a vengeful nerd turned mad scientist with a particular vengeance aimed at surfers. Using Buzz Cola, Menlo has begun turning surfers into brain-dead zombies with the aid of his assistant, Sparkle. Can Chuck and Bob thwart his evil master plan in time to save the surfing competition? I surely hope so. I know this movie does have a little bit of a cult following. In fact, Joe Lynch was in town last year for Kansas City's Panic Fest, and he actually chose this movie to screen live with the Q&A. I didn't catch that screening, but it looks cool and sounds cool. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of Surf 2. I think when they dropped this movie, a lot of people had never heard of it. There was a handful of people who were pretty stoked on it, but I, like many, had no idea what it was about. Next up, Alien from LA, starring the one and only Kathy Ireland. She did a few movies back in the 90s. I always dug her in Mom and Dad Save the World. But again, with this one, you get great artwork. This was another one that I got for $10 during the 10 for 10 sale. Back of the case reads, Wanda's famed archaeologist father has been missing for years. Out of the blue, she receives an unexpected letter from her father's colleague in Africa, informing her that his disappearance is due to his presumed death after falling down a bottomless pit. Deciding to make the transcontinental journey in the hope of finding him alive, Wanda flies to Africa only to end up stumbling down the same pit as her father. Once at the bottom of the hole, she discovers that it's a gateway to a subterranean civilization, Atlantis. Unfortunately, the Atlanteans don't take too kindly to visitors from the Earth's surface. I'm assuming this is bad but watchable, possibly so bad it's good, one of those type of movies. Again, this was $10. I couldn't pass it up. I'd had my eye on it for a while, and now I got it. Now I'm stuck with it. Next up is an all-time favorite movie of mine. I used to watch this movie so much back in the 90s. One of my favorites, Freeway. Finally got the treatment that it deserved. It would have been nice to get this, have a VSU release, but nevertheless, I'm extremely happy to have this in 4K. If you haven't seen Freeway, let me tell you about it. It's wild. Vanessa Lutt's life is a mess. Her mother, a prostitute, and father, an abusive drunk, have been hauled to jail. With nowhere to live, Vanessa has no choice but to move in with her grandmother. Hitting the road to Granny's house, she quickly encounters the silver-tongued Bob Wolverton, who offers to give her a lift. However, what Vanessa doesn't realize is that Bob is the notorious I-5 killer, a vicious murderer who preys on young female. Using all her wits, she sets in motion a cunning trap which all comes to a grisly head in this modern take on the Little Red Riding Hood. I think for a lot of us, this has been a cult classic, but there may be a good amount of you who have not seen or heard of this movie. Now, that is an accurate description on this Blu-ray here, but it doesn't even do close to doing justice of how fucked up and twisted and weird this movie truly is. It's a really crazy road movie about Reese Witherspoon's character who plays the most insane role in this movie. She never did another role like this ever again. And she's on the road to get to her grandmother's house, and during that trip, she just encounters the most insane shit. This is easily one of Kiefer Sutherland's best performances ever in a movie, and he's so sadistic and twisted. This is a must-buy. Go to Vinegar's site, buy this immediately. You won't regret it. It's an amazing movie. Next up, Nothing Underneath. I don't know much about this. This is actually a double feature with Too Beautiful to Die. I've had my eye on this one for a long time. It looked interesting. I really don't know anything about it. The artwork, the reversible artwork is super, super cool on this one. And on the back of the Blu-ray, it reads, Bob Crane has long maintained a psychic connection to his twin sister Jessica, who works as a fashion model in Milan. When Bob senses that his sister might be injured or killed, he travels to Italy to look for her, only to discover that she's vanished without a trace. Enlisting the help of his about-to-retire Commissioner Danasy, Bob soon finds himself embroiled in a web of mystery and terror when a scissors-wielding killer begins to strike and all clues lead back to Jessica. A highly entertaining and unexpectedly raunchy late-period giallo, clearly taking a cue from the American slasher craze, Carlo Vanzina's Nothing Underneath amps up its mid-80s styling and stars prolific TV actor Tom Shanley, as well as Donald Pleasance. And Beautiful to Die, the other film in this set, a group of high-fashion models have been invited to an isolated house to attend a party. As the night wears on, one of the models falls victim to a deadly accident, which sets into motion a series of brutal murders, all traced back to a shocking secret. These look like fun little sleazy giallo slasher movies. I'm always down for that. So Nothing Underneath and Too Beautiful to Die. Next up, Villains with Maika Monroe and Bill Skarsgård. This movie had been on my radar for a while. I kind of slept on it, and then Mel from the Rad Pack, my Rad Pack co-host, she was raving about it, and I figured I'd pick this one up. This was also another 10 for 10 deal, so most of these movies I got for 10 bucks a piece, which is crazy. In Villains, Mickey and Jules are lovers on the run, headed southbound for a fresh start in the Sunshine State. When their car dies after a gas station robbery, they break into a nearby house looking for a new set of wheels. What they find instead is a dark secret and a sweetest pie pair of homeowners who will do anything to keep it from getting out. So this has a great cast. It looks fun. I can't wait to check this one out. I love the artwork. The new artwork on the slipcover is awesome. And again, 10 bucks. You just can't beat that. Next up, Sister Sister. This one stars Eric Stoltz, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Judith Ivey. This one looks really interesting. This one looks actually like the only legit, normal movie in this whole thing, although I could be wrong about that. Maybe this movie is weird as shit. I don't know. In Sister Sister, protective and aloof Charlotte, along with her childlike and innocent sister Lucy, operate their scheduled country mansion as a bed and breakfast. On a cold and rainy night, Matt, a mysterious and handsome man from the city, arrives unexpectedly to rent a room soon after taking a fancy to Lucy. As their romance grows, mysterious acts of violence begin to plague the quiet home, threatening to unearth dark and murderous secrets buried deep in the past. So yeah, this is another one that I scored for 10 bucks. I'm a big fan of Jennifer Jason Leigh. This one looked cool. I don't know much about it. A lot of these are blind buys, so I can't talk a whole lot about each one, but if you've seen this, let me know how you liked Sister Sister. We got two more here. This is Keep an Eye Out. This is from an interesting director. I really liked his, it may have been his debut film. I saw it years ago called Rubber, about a killer tire. It was really strange, but somehow this director, this writer-director, what's his name? Quentin Dupuy. This director has a really unique way of taking just completely out there absurd premises that in a normal context just wouldn't work for a movie. And you know, to be fair, maybe some people don't like his stuff, but that intrigued me to check out this one. This had an interesting premise. It also stars the guy who was the main lead in a movie called A Man Bites Dog, which is a really good faux documentary on like a day in the life of a serial killer. It's hilarious. This movie is a French language film that has English subtitles in it. In Keep an Eye Out, a breakneck-paced cop comedy that packs more laughs into its breezy runtime than some filmmakers manage in their entire careers. Belgian funny man Benoit Pelverde, the guy from Man Bites Dog, that's how I know him, is Commissioner Buren, a good bad cop interrogating Fugen, an average Joe who discovered a dead body outside his apartment building. French absurdist Quentin Dupuy's whip-smart script disregards audience expectations, the fourth wall, and the laws of time and space. You'll never look at an oyster the same way. And we get some decent special features. I like weird shit. This one looked interesting. If you guys have seen this one or know anything about it, let me know what you think. So the last one up here, there's no significance to this being the last. It just happens to be the last movie. It's a Chinese film called Det-Ent-Ion. I think that's what it's called. Oh, I guess I just tried to read. Oh God, I'm a fucking idiot. I may have to leave that in just because it's so ridiculous. To be fair, that's what it says on the back. Detention is what the movie is called. It's called Detention. Det-Ent-Ion. Set during the Taiwanese martial law of 1960s, this shockingly gruesome and terrifying coming-of-age drama based on a hugely popular video game sees two classmates who go looking for their missing friends and teachers, all of whom took part in an illegal book club, only to come face-to-face with ghosts and deformed monsters that have taken over their school. So this one looks really cool. This actually, now that I'm reading this, this may be a Taiwanese movie, but I don't know, cruising through the $10 sale titles, this one caught my eye, and it looked interesting. So if anybody has seen Det-Ent-Ion, or aka Det-Ent-Ion, let me know. Yeah. So guys, that is everything that I think that's everything. Yeah, so guys, that's everything that I picked up during the Vinegar Syndrome Subscriber Week sale that ran the first week of January. I'm assuming that did pretty well for them, so maybe we'll see this happen again next year. I love Vinegar Syndrome. They're probably my favorite label at this point. I think they're probably #1 for me. Them and Second Sight. I love both of those guys. But anyway, guys, I think we're done here. I'm talked myself to death, and I have to go. So I love you guys. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Hey guys, do you want to learn how to be more popular with girls? Just call 976-GUTS, because
you want to go out with girls like me? Well, you can. It's easier than you think. All you need is the guts. Just call the pickup line, 976-GUTS. You'll learn the art of meeting girls like us.
976-GUTS. You'll learn where to meet girls, how to meet them, and what to say. $2 plus toll. Call now.